architects will not be replaced by AI.
You think associates will? Maybe the principal architect stays there.
No. It's all, right?
When we move from hand to computer, this is just a natural progression of another level of intelligence coming on board.
I believe you're the mafia of the industry. At least that's what everyone calls you. So do you prefer architecture or interior design? Pick one.
I pick the one that makes the most money.
Yeah.
Someone rightly said, to be successful, the first thing you have to do is fall in love with your work. To be passionate, it's that simple. Today, I'm going to make you meet those who have found their mark in the industry by being passionate, relentless, and untamed. We're going to dive deep into the creative strategies and unconventional design adventures that sets one free. With Evolving Habitat, our goal is simple: putting India's relentless passion for art, design, and culture on the global front and the people behind it.
Most people call me Kaif Faquih. I am principal of Faquih and Associates. We do a lot of work which is bespoke, very exclusive, high-end. Our strength, I would say, is towards design which beyond the ordinary experience, something that gives delight and enchantment to people.
Hi, I'm Yatin Patel. Founder and principal at DSP Design and CEO of Kala Gate Collective. At DSP Design, we're a multifaceted design organization with different verticals under large-scale residential developments, commercial architecture and interiors, hospitality. I'm also a founding member of EDI, and at Kala Gate Collective, we build bespoke homes. A part of that, I'm also one of the founding members of Grid Sense Digitectura.
So welcome to Evolving Habitat. Let's start off with you, Yatin. Where does this journey begin?
Well, the journey began more than 35 years ago. I've been practicing for 35 years now, but even before I joined architecture school, in fact, I met Kaif's dad. His dad's first project was my dad's clinic.
Oh, wow.
So I obviously didn't. I obviously didn't meet him then because I wasn't around probably. But of course, before I went to college, I took his advice, and he was the only architect I knew apart from another mentor of mine. So I did my architecture in MIT, the Indian version of MIT. This was in Manipal. It's in South India. And when I came back, I did a stint for a year with a practicing architect. And I got the opportunity to do a few jobs of some of my friends. So Sunil Shetty was one of, we grew up together. Of course, he was a little older than I am, but we stayed in the same building. So he had a few stores to be done, a few restaurants to be done, and I was given the opportunity. And I was in a dilemma whether I should quit my job and start my practice with all of this coming down my way. And I again approached Kaif's dad to find out what should I do, just start off on my own. He said, if you've got the projects, why don't you go ahead and do it? So that's where it all began.
Okay. What about you, Kaif? Similar journey?
No, I'm a younger pup. I started, in 24, 25 years now. And as Yatin mentioned, my dad was in the field, and I took affinity, took like a fish to water to architecture and design, and then I went to the US, did my degree from Georgia Tech and Oklahoma University. So dual program. One was more engineering based, one was more artistic and organic design based. So came back, and then similar to Yatin, I had a friend mine, who was the producer Bharat Shah's son Rajiv, and he said, hey, I want to make a nightclub, and you're here, you should do it. So it was as simple as that, and in the next 2 years we started the project, and then it was successful, and then I liked the experience, and then it just took off then. So pretty
So
much.
I believe you started your career in 1999.
Yes, yes.
So what are the key drivers that still keep you going today?
For me, this is a question of passion, and I think what can drive anybody in passion is the for me, it's the unknown and the uncertain. In most aspects of your life, you want things to be certain, you want things to be go in a particular, especially when you are get older. But I think in architecture, design, any creative field, when there is uncertainty, there is a certain amount of mystery. So that, I think, keeps one coming back to the drawing board, coming back to the design, and saying, no, now I've got this thought, now where can I implement it? So I think that is what works for me.
So do you approach architecture similarly?
I'd say yes. Similarly, of course, it's all passion driven,
Yeah.
like Kev mentioned. Uh, most of the verticals that we have are completely originated out of a passion towards them. So we do residential architecture, commercial architecture. Now we ventured into going back the whole circle around where I began doing probably restaurants and residential interiors. We never did that for so many years. Now we've gone back to doing that. So it's all again coming back to passion. We like doing villas. Now we're coming back to doing luxury villas in Alibaug. So it's all passion driven.
So does instinct play a big role here?
I'd say it's a combination of instinct. Uh, it's a combination of what's out there, what you can do, what you think you can do, and strategy as far as if you look at architecture as a practice or as a business. So it's a combination of all,
How do you approach it, as a practice or a business?
both.
Oh.
Because there's passion,
Yeah.
right? So that's where the architecture comes in, and then we have 300 people in the organization, so I have to feed those 300 people, apart from ourselves also
Of
getting
course.
fed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then
Absolutely,
it's become a business.
yeah.
So what role do you think data plays when it comes to architecture? Do you all analyze data, like trends that go on? Or it's just instinct creativity that
No, no.
comes in?
So there's data is a big word,
Okay.
right? It's a big subject. So there's different aspects of data. So when you're designing, you need either a brief or you need data, right? If you're going to design a build space, you have to know what you're designing for, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So you need data. So for example, if you're designing a mall, you need data of what footfall you would have, right? So that's a very basic thing that I'm
Yeah.
telling you. But from what we do, when we do commercial interiors or commercial architecture, uh, especially in the workspace. Now, it's a very complex uh, structure, or the workspace. It may look like, just tables and chairs and people just have to work out there. So what's the big deal? What's the
Correct.
science behind it? It's a lot of science. There's a lot of data that we have started using. All our designs, all the projects that we do are data driven. So we collect data. So I've had so many examples where a client comes to me, a large corporate says, we have 1,000 employees, so you would need 1,000 desks, right, to
Correct. Yeah.
accommodate 1,000 desks. We need 100 meeting spaces. And we'd always say, defy the brief and say, why? And back in the day, we didn't have the right tools to, substantiate the question as why, and to retaliate to say you don't need it.
How do you convince a client of that?
So we use technology. We use tools that gather data. So if the same customer said, I have 1,000 employees and I need 100 meeting rooms, I would blindly, without even collecting data, say, I will put in only 600 desks. I will put in only probably 50 meeting rooms. The client would argue and say, I have 100 meeting rooms today and they're always occupied. But we use sensors now to map people's behavior, people's movement in the office, how many people are there in the office, when are they there, for how many hours they are there, meeting rooms, how many people are using those meeting rooms, at what given time, and for what duration. And with that data, we are able to tell them that you don't need so many desks. Because as a global average, there's no more than 70% of the workforce in the office. That's a global average. Okay,
Okay.
so it depends from industry to industry.
Correct.
So when you have 1,000 employees, you don't have more than 70% at any given point of time in the office. People are traveling, people
Yeah.
are ill, or whatever,
On the
or they're
field,
out
yeah.
on the field,
Yeah.
or whatever. So it depends on the business that you're. So manufacturing setup is different, but in the tech industry, in the fintech industry, in the banking industry, is the same across the globe. So imagine the real estate that is being so inefficiently used,
Correct. Yeah.
right? So imagine you're paying rent on 100,000 square feet, where 30,000 square feet
It just wasted space.
is not utilized.
Yeah.
For us, the data is, I mean, a different sphere since we do a lot of luxury work.
Okay.
So, it's more about experience than about,
So this is all residential work primarily?
residential, commercial,
Okay.
even hospitality. But even the architecture has a little bit more, the bend towards more higher end architecture, as
Okay.
Yatin mentioned, villas, and even if you're doing buildings, sometimes they're single family buildings. So in that sense, the data is more experience based. Uh, you know, uh, we're not grappling with situations which are about generally what we would find in commercial spaces, but are more what would be experience and what we've kind of understood. And to me, data is a new buzzword, but in the end it means experience and information, and it needs to be looked upon more broadly than purely a scientific bent, to the
Yeah.
to the to the term.
Yeah.
Coinage needs to be seen in psychologically. That coinage needs to be seen even in more experientially. So for me and for our firm, with the way we work, the kind of projects actually, it's more about what would the experience of the customer be. When they're coming in, how do they see the space? What is the outlook of the architecture to create a certain mindset and a mood. So that to me is more subjective data,
Correct. Yeah.
rather than hard facts and numbers. So, but that's just, as you know, architecture has so many aspects. That's just one side of it.
I see. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So, but again, Kev, you even from experiential
Huh.
value, data plays an important role,
Yeah.
right?
Can you give me an example there?
So, for again, I'll take you back again to the commercial space. Let's say a
Yeah.
meeting
No,
room.
let's go
I'll come to the
residential.
residential
Yeah.
also. I'll come from there to the residential
Okay.
bit. So let's say a meeting room,
Yeah.
right? And a meeting room, uh, like any other meeting room, the capacity is of say 8 people or 10 people, right? So your air conditioning system is designed to take that capacity
Yeah.
of people, right? Now, if you have enough data to tell the air conditioning system that there are only 2 people in the room, do I still need to pump in that much air? So I'm going to save energy. So it
There's a
all,
lot of cost
so
saving
there's
everywhere.
a lot of things. Then should the lux level be the same? If it is daylight, should it be the same? If it is the sun is not, coming in, or if there's no natural light, should the lights be on? Or how much should the lux level be? If I have to maintain say 400 lakhs or 500 lakhs or 300 lakhs for that matter on the tabletop, how much of natural light am I getting? That's data, right?
So does this work practically or just a theoretical concept?
No,
Like
it
people
works
believe it?
practically.
It's
Yeah.
practical.
Yeah, it works.
In fact, we've designed tools.
That's
We've
interesting.
we've got we actually have a startup that we started to work just purely just doing that.
So do you think architects play a big role when it comes to sustainability? You think everyone should approach this method, work this way?
I mean, see, sustainability to me uh, has two definitions. I thought about this. I thought about this a lot, and then I kind of then formed an opinion on it. One is uh, the aspects of you've got quantitative values which you can be measured. They create energy saving. They create life cycles which are justifiably to the energy that you input to make a building, to make architecture, to do a project. And then those life cycles are either energy efficient, sustainable. Sustainable also in the sense that the turnaround time of that entire project is extended, so you don't need to put more capital.
Correct.
So that's one definition, and that's the common one to me, and that's the one that everybody kind of goes to. But to me, actually, the second definition is closer to architecture, which is, I would say, when we say that the user or the consumer, whichever way you look at it, themselves is propelled by the architecture to be a conscious consumer, a more sustainable consumer. The architecture, just like the example as Jatin is giving, what happens when the architecture tells you that you may not need the air conditioning on some days, because the architecture is designed in such a way that it creates a more sustainable environment for psychometric comforts. So I'm saying, in that sense, architects can contribute in a more unseen and intangible way to sustainability, rather than only the hard facts, the numbers that we get,
Yeah.
which are, of course, which are the starting point. They're measurable, they're important, they need to be there. Eventually you need to have uh, compliance to that. But design itself can make behavior change, and if design can make your behavior more sustainable, then you've kind of
Made
taken
an
it to
impact in a way.
I think it's a moral responsibility for all of us to conserve natural resources, right?
Yeah.
So it's a moral responsibility for all of us to be sustainable, right? To respect the resources that are available. And for us as architects, uh, I mean, okay, so for DSP as a firm, even 15, probably 15 or 18 years back, we said we will design for green, for towards sustainability, and all our projects are designed towards LEED certification.
What does that mean?
So it's a certification
Yeah.
for sustainability, right?
Okay.
It's a benchmark.
Okay.
So
The certain criteria you need
yeah,
to
so
meet.
so all our buildings are green
Okay.
or LEED certified, right? Uh, so there are different categories. So there's silver, gold, and platinum.
That
So we've got, I mean, most of our projects are certified. So we design, irrespective of whether somebody wants a certification or not, our designs are capable of getting certified, right? So we design for that.
Okay.
So just a very crude example. I mean, you've got a plot, you know where the sun's path is.
Yeah.
So you orient your building in a manner,
Windows aligned that way.
windows lined up. So you cut off the natural heat coming in, or you enhance, you try and harness as much as natural light coming in. In commercial buildings, you design your glazing in a manner where the penetration of light goes all the way through unto the up till the last desk, or the last habitable space. So those are very basics of design.
I
So
see.
there's much more complexity in terms of sustainability that we design, from energy
yeah
savings and all of that. So
You can design a thicker wall on one side where you have higher thermal loads.
Yeah.
So that would impact. You don't need to externally. It may all appear the same. A lot of sustainability is also not about the. It's not about the, I say, the form giving of the architecture. Of course, there is aspects of that also, how you shade your build, but also I think the tectonics of architecture. That also deals a lot with sustainability, and that's something which only architects internally know how they do it.
Well,
Not just that. It's not about just design. It's about the materials as well.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So where
Everything
you
plays a
get,
role in
yeah.
the. No, but I was reading about a different school of thought the other day. Do you think sustainability sort of hinders creativity? You want to make something a certain way, but it's not environmentally friendly. It cuts the design out in a certain way.
No, absolutely not. So, like I said, most of our projects are LEED certified. It doesn't cut that. You work around those, aspects. From materiality perspective, there's thousands of different materials that you could use and still achieve similar goals.
No, but is that easy to convince a client? For example, let's take marble. Natural marble is sort of bad for the environment when you excavate it. Would a guy making, say, a 100 crore house switch to an artificial source of marble or still stick to natural marble?
So, like I said, when I spoke about LEED, uh, there are the silver, gold, and platinum rated buildings or projects. Now, there's a point system for that. So it really depends on, it's more about energy saving and all of that. And of course, materiality plays a big role as well. But let's say you're not using, you don't have to have every material that is a sustainable material. Yeah, that's going to
That's
the
too far.
extreme
Yeah.
limit, right?
Yeah.
So you could have materials that are not really qualified as sustainable materials, but you balance it out with other materials.
Also, the engineering, no? I mean, I'm going to use your example of the marble, and if I'm going to do a little bit slighter, deeper dive in it. Uh, okay, so you did extract from the mine, you got it all the way from here. There's a certain amount of energy that you expounded to get it here.
Correct.
Say you got a material that was, say, half that energy, you know, say BTUs, thermal units, that much. But marble, as you know, is any stone, but specifically using our example of marble, is something that has a extremely high life cycle. So there are marble pillars and marble floors going on from 500 years. So imagine that also counts a lot in sustainability. You may use a lower input of energy,
You got
but
to
you may
replace
have
it.
a little higher life cycle.
Yeah.
It's a very very tricky balancing act between choosing something, how much, as Yatin was mentioning, it's all about materiality as well. So I would say, yeah, that how you use a particular material, how you design a particular building is more important than you know when it is out of context.
Correct.
Just to expand on that, and taking a cue from what Kaif has just mentioned, so sourcing of the material, right? The amount of energy that is consumed to get that material to your site. It's transported, right?
Yeah, correct.
Fuel is burned. So depending on the distance, if I source a material, if I'm here and I'm sourcing a material from 50 kilometers versus material that's coming from overseas, the amount of energy that is burnt to get that material here, there's a difference.
Yeah,
So,
correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
so it's not just about the material, it's about
How it's sourced as well.
how you're sourcing it as well.
That's interesting. Well, we've spoken about data, and I think that takes us towards this term called artificial intelligence. What is that according to you?
So again, artificial intelligence is a huge subject, right? When it comes to architecture, again, it's a big terminology. It's a very, broad-based kind of a thing. Artificial intelligence, helps you in different ways. It could help you in the design. It could help you in the process of design. It could help you get data. It would help you, make things work differently. So there's various things that ways that artificial intelligence comes across, even for architecture. So it's right from gathering of data. It's a tool. There are different tools.
Yeah.
So different tools that can gather data, different tools that can help you design. Uh, Obviously, all of these help you design, right? There's artificial is a loosely word,
Yeah.
loosely used
Well, yeah.
terminology,
Yeah.
right?
That's true.
So for some people, artificial intelligence is okay. I can visualize better, but that's not it. That's something that's more aesthetic, right? But it could help you do that, but there's different ways of using it.
Yeah, I mean, AI is now, you know, I mean, it's in every way. You're just looking at it as two directions again. It's a threat or is it a tool? And in every new thing, it's always looked as that way.
Yeah.
I mean, architects also. I was at a critique last week um, at KRVI University, and some of the colleagues of mine was saying the same thing. That clients are talking about AI generated design. So I think it's going to be a while before it evolves into something concrete which we can say, yes, uh, these are the applications, and these is how architects can enhance their work or accentuate their projects in this way. Like when we move from hand to computer, this is just a natural progression of another level of intelligence coming on board to assist you. But I never have looked at it as a threat,
Okay.
and the reason is that uh, we are still too in the age and times where we are building for humans and we are humans. So there are so many other aspects of human behavior, and which need to be accounted for and all. And I think for that, a certain level of I would say not artificial intelligence but human intelligence, which distinctly is different from artificial intelligence as of now, so that is required. So I think that will always be there.
So, so when you talk about AI, especially in terms of architecture or for design per se, uh, you can't replace the human factor.
Okay.
It's not going to replace architects, right? It's a non-negotiable, non-conditional kind of a thing that architects will not be replaced by AI.
You think associates will? Maybe the principal architect stays there.
No. It's all, right? It will probably enhance processes. Like I've mentioned, we were drawing with a hand. We got computers, right? We could draw better. Software firms or products that were developed kept getting better and better. What did it do? It helped us do things better, but it still needed the human touch to design. AI is another level of it, which will enable architects or collaborate with the human touch to give you a better product, probably at a faster pace. So when we did drafting by hand to a computer, we could do much more in that given period of time. This is a step up to do that. So as far as the design process is concerned, now AI will also help you in terms of modulating your design, in terms of build forms and things like that. So there's a lot of softwares that do it as well, but AI is another level above that.
Well, but talking from solely an architect's point of view, forget the business side of it. Did you all prefer working with like sketchpads or the computer?
What has happened to me is that I've actually am still sketching, but now I'm sketching on the iPad or whatever. I'm sketching on. So it's just that the sketching has become more sophisticated with all the available tools, but the
Okay.
sketching has never left, never leaves.
Yeah, so we're still old school.
Yeah.
I have the younger generation who can't sketch.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's so many of the younger
Wow.
lot who are say, just get me a sketch. I'd rather draft and show you. And don't waste your time drafting.
Yeah.
I'd sketch it out for you,
Yeah.
faster than you do it on a computer, right? So I guess it's a matter of which era you're from.
Yeah, yeah.
We're used to still sketching. I think that's a much better brain to hand kind of a
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
coordination,
that's it.
right?
Far more creativity.
Yeah, and yes, but technology still enhances that.
Yeah.
So there, we would think straight line or kind of things that we could draw out or visualize. Uh, Technology has helped people start thinking in different dimensions.
Okay.
So yes, there is an advantage
Yeah.
to it. Of course, each of these have pluses, but it still won't replace architects.
How do you all keep yourself inspired? How does the creativity keep coming?
We spoke about passion,
Really? That's it?
right? It's passion.
No inspiration?
Oh, I mean, you get inspiration everywhere. I see this piece of marble, and
Yeah.
this to me could be a built form. The character of this could be a built form. You probably see a building coming up like that. That could be a plan of a building.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
And inspiration can come from anywhere.
From anywhere. And the one thing which and I'm just saying this out of half jest, but yeah, then tell me if you agree with me. But what I think about when you said, no, what do you get inspired by? When there's a literal translation of inspiration, that cheeses me off. When people say,
Copy
oh,
paste.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I saw this and this, whatever I got, I mean,
That's not inspiration.
yeah,
That's
what you said was like more abstract, more
Yeah.
truly, I would say like a only an architect's eyes would see that kind of inspiration. So real inspiration is intuitive. It is spontaneous. That way. So that I think is really, and architects I think have that. It's just the lot. I mean, at least the good ones.
And also, what gets us going is it's a changing world. How do we adapt to or create spaces? We as architects are the architects of designing how people would live, work, play, right? At the end of it.
Yeah.
So, with again with technology, uh, it's disruptive, and it's made the whole pace of living so fast,
Exactly.
right? So, how does one adapt to it? How does one start creating these environments that help people live, work, and play in those environments? Is inspiring, right?
It is.
It's a challenge. So for me, it's a challenge every day, and so to keep abreast with all of that, we're at it.
But coming from a different generation, let's say me, for example, um, I don't see myself putting the same effort in building a house as my dad did. I would be ready to accept a house within 2 months of getting the flat and probably accept a copy pasted idea because I'm ready to change it after 3 years. How do you think that plays a role?
Wait till you grow another 10, 15 years. Your taste will evolve, and then and I've seen this happen. I've seen it happen and it was a client, we were discussing this, son must be a bit older than you, and then
Yeah.
he said, what, then the client himself said, oh, just watch, as he starts getting into the process, and 6 months later he's going to be more nuanced, he's going to be more maybe, so it'll get there. I think it's the subtleties and the articulation of a human
Keep evolving.
keep
Yeah.
evolving and
Yeah.
grow.
And
So
your curiosities will
yeah.
keep increasing,
Yeah.
right? And then you would start questioning, could this have been done differently? Could this have been done
Yeah.
in another way?
Yeah.
Why couldn't it have been that way? So, yes, you could say, I'll move into something that's ready made, and I like the way it looks.
Yeah.
But is that designed for your personal needs?
Yeah.
Probably not. You may like it when you see it, but when you live in it, when you grow with it, you probably realize then that you needed it a little differently to suit yourself. It had to be bespoke for yourself, and that's not exactly what you wanted when you first saw it. So you would grow into it, you'll outgrow it faster than when you would do it for yourself. And when you're doing it for yourself, Not necessarily everything takes 3 years to get built,
Yeah.
but 2 months is, it doesn't take 2 months
Yeah.
to get built,
Yeah.
right? 2 months is you're saying, here's the money, give me a ready-made house,
Get the car.
right? But you still need some time, reasonable amount of time. It's no longer what it used to be back in the day. Forts took hundreds of years to get built. We started off with when homes took 2 years, 3 years to get built. Is not no longer the case.
Yeah.
You could do one in 6 months or 8 months now, right? 2 months is stretching it a bit far. There's processes of what you can do and what you can't do, right? Let's say, for example, you're painting.
Yeah.
There's a process. You're laying off the floor.
That takes a certain amount of time.
There is some
Yeah.
amount of time that is really required, right?
Yeah.
You tell me to lay the marble and say start walking on it, polish it the
Yeah,
next day.
the laws
No,
of
I say
physics.
no.
Yeah.
Don't, you can't do it.
Can't.
But with this changing world, do you see your designs, like your existing designs changing as and when? Say I've stayed in a house designed by you for a year. I want to change it. Do you see that happening quite often?
Uh, Architecture is more, I would say, uh, what do you say? Temporally, it is more strong, it is more there. But interiors, yeah, it's become more fashionable. It's just moving towards more a transient approach. People say, okay, 5, 8 years, I want some change. So I think in internal environments, yes, but architecture still has a lasting quality, and people still want that. But then again, architecture is not everyone's cup of tea. I mean, how many people who would get a chance to build a building as a client?
Yeah.
There would be much more people who would do their internal houses or whatever, but doing a large, say, the great work that Yatin is doing on the larger format, that kind of work, there are only, say, organizations or extremely wealthy individuals or whatever, or governments. So that kind of architecture still has that sustaining power to uh, to to be, I would say, the test of time, to take the test of time.
So I'd put it differently. Architecture, when you say architecture, people come to us and I say, I want an iconic building.
Hmm.
Whereas we would say, why don't we do a timeless design? Right? And that word says it all.
Yeah.
There are trends that one can follow. But those, like you said, will die. So
Something
you
else
wouldn't
will come.
design a building based on a particular trend. But you may do an interior fit out for, let's say, a restaurant, which has some restaurants have a life,
Yeah.
right? Where you can say, I'll do a trend based kind of a thing. But I think architecture, for sure, timeless is better. You've got great examples of timeless design, right? You've got monuments.
Yeah.
You see the Taj Mahal. You still say
Still
great
everything has
super
this.
architecture, right? You still say super
Yeah.
architecture. You won't say, oh, I'm sick and tired of it, kind of a thing.
So do you prefer architecture or interior design? Pick one.
I pick the one that makes the most money.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, architecture has the romance of but it's
I'll put it
bloody
differently.
hard
I'll
thing.
put it differently. You cannot segregate architecture from
Yeah.
interiors. To do architecture, you have to understand what's going to happen inside,
Hmm.
right? So when we design architecture, we go inside out.
Okay.
So you have to know what's happening inside.
Yeah.
So there's interiors that you're doing. And you do the other way around, if your assignment is only architecture, that a client is appointed you only for architecture, you design for what's going to happen inside.
Yeah, I mean, the program will still drive
And if you're doing
the
only
form.
interiors, you have to be cognizant of what's happening outside.
Correct. They
So
go hand in hand.
you can't really segregate the two
I see.
in a built form,
A bit.
right?
Got it.